Good morning, good morning, good morning. My good news for this morning is that this is the last day of July, which means that summer is half over. We are so glad that everyone is here today. It just warms our hearts, and this is our community, whether you're here in person or whether you're here on Zoom or whether you're watching on YouTube. And we all need each other, and thank you for being here. You'll notice that some people have masks, some people don't. This is still a really crazy time, and so our policy is you do what makes you comfortable, and we are fine with that. We have a welcome tablet on a turquoise tablet on the end of every row. Please let us know that you're here. We love knowing who's been joining with us. And our friends who are on Zoom, you can put your information in the chat. Can we go back to the Zoom for just half a minute? We want to wave and say hi to the Zoom people. There. Hi, everybody. We're so glad that you're here, and there will be a time after church for you to talk with each other. I think we may start setting, it can go on and on and on because everybody's so excited, we may start setting a time limit for that. So we'll probably set about a 15-minute time limit. People who are watching this on YouTube, please hit the like button. And also, there's a chat place for you to tell us that you're here. We are so blessed today to have Reverend Dr. David Zuniga, who is a Zen Buddhist priest, speaking, and he broke his foot on Friday, and he's here. Isn't that amazing? Let's give him. Our senior pastor, Jim Rigby, is in California this weekend. I also wanted to fill you in that Donna Rutherford, our parish nurse, I think we had in the thing that she had cervical fractures. She has spine fractures lower than that in her lower back. She had surgery on Friday and is progressing. Our committee of the week, first, take a look out back when you leave. About 20 people showed up yesterday to deconstruct our playground and did an amazing job in 100-degree weather. It's fabulous. So let's give them a hand too, because that was... And then our committee of the week is the Social Justice Committee. Ed Kopis is one of the leaders. I don't believe he's here. No, he's in Denver. He's in Denver. Nancy McLean, raise your hand. If anybody's interested in being more involved with social justice, put it on the friendship tablet next to your name, and they will get in contact with you. I'm sorry? And Ann Glenn. There you are, yes. Okay. You're also on the table out there are some sign-up sheets for volunteers. And there are some sign-up sheets for volunteering for that committee and other committees are out. That area is our mission area, and please take a gander. Sometimes it helps to actually leave the church through that door and then just walk through, and then you get to enjoy the art on your way into the gathering area, whatever that is. All right, let us come together reverently.
As we come together this day, may we find in the simplicity of ritual nourishment for the unfolding days. And may we sense a deepening connection to each other and to the whole of creation. Let us come together on our common journey. Please rise for our first hymn as you are able.
And now, if the children and any adults who care to accompany them and young at heart, or any young at heart adults would like to come forward for our puppet show.
And there's some food in the aisles. If the children will look and grab it on the way up, that would be helpful. There's some back over there. Adults can help too.
And we have, Mr. Monkey will not be joining us this morning. He called somebody stupid last week, and so he's in timeout.
Ready? All right. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Mwah. It's so good to see you again today.
Hey, Hortense, I got to ask you, is it true what I heard that you had a nervous breakdown last week?
What? What are you talking about?
Last week, I heard you had some kind of nervous breakdown or something, and I was kind of worried about you since we're friends and all, and so I thought I'd just ask.
No, I didn't have a nervous breakdown. I'm fine. What did you hear again?
So something did happen. What happened, Hortense? Are you okay? We were worried about you. Cowboy Bob was telling me that he heard you went to the hospital.
Cowboy Bob, he wasn't even here last week.
Well, we were just worried because what he heard from Bummer Bear, it sounded pretty bad.
Bummer Bear? Well, we hardly ever see each other.
Well, I know he wouldn't make it up. Matter of fact, I asked him and he told me where he'd heard it. Let's see.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Oh, yeah, I remember it was Fred.
Fred? Who in the world is Fred? I don't know anyone named Fred.
Well, now just hold on, Hortense. Let me get all this sorted out in my head.
Well,
Mr. Monkey
now,
told
boys and girls,
him. And
this is what can happen.
No,
wait a second. This is what can happen when someone passes along gossip.
He told. I didn't, Hortense, honest. I didn't tell a soul. I just asked you if it was true.
Well, I think that's the kind of thing to ask about in private, Jack.
Yeah, I guess you're right, Hortense. Is it true?
Jack, just because you whisper doesn't mean it's private.
It doesn't. Oh, yeah, I guess it doesn't. Sorry.
Let's see if we can figure out how this happened. Jack, you said Mr. Monkey told you?
That's right. But he didn't mean any harm. He was trying to find out because
All
he
right,
was
then.
worried too.
And he was told by Cowboy Bob,
Yep.
and he was told by...
Fred.
I don't know anyone named Fred. Oh, my. Rumors, rumors, rumors. I'll never get another show.
Oh, now Hortense, calm down. We'll figure this out and take care of it.
Jack, who is Fred?
I have absolutely no idea.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Well, okay, look, I'll go back and tell Cowboy Bob that everything's fine, that you're fine, and then we'll go tell Bummer Bear, and then we'll get Bummer to go tell Fred not to spread stories.
Please do.
You bet I will, Hortense. I'll take care of that real soon. I'm sorrier than a hound dog to miss the hunt.
Well, this happens sometimes, boys and girls. If you find yourself in this kind of situation, don't tell stories about anyone, even if you think they're true, unless that person says it's okay.
Hortense, is it okay with you then if I go tell these folks that you didn't have a nervous breakdown and that you're fine?
Yes, you can. And as a matter of fact, you can tell them that not only did I not have a breakdown, but I'm starting a new show to help people not have breakdowns.
Yeah, well, yeah, just take a deep breath there.
Okay, just tell them I'm fine.
Yeah, too bad Reverend Jim isn't here to do a song about gossip.
Well, we'll just remember not to gossip. If we think about the feelings of others and all that we do, we'll all do just fine. So thanks for coming down, boys and girls. See you next time.
See y'all next time.
Bye-bye.
As we get centered, I invite you to take a nice deep breath and relax into these words. May we wrap our lives around the challenges of today, that we might be spent in the effort of bringing this world to a place of peace and justice. And in the quiet of our prayer, may we listen at the center of our being for the truth of our inner voice, one that is not stilled but still, and that sets before us the purpose of this day.
We come to that time in our service of prayers of the people, and I invite you to do whatever works for you during this time. I have a prayer I will do, but feel free to use this time in whatever way that speaks to you. So let us join together. Gracious and loving Spirit, we come together today to listen, to learn, and to celebrate not only this community, but others gathered around our world, listening, learning, and celebrating life in their part of the world. We lift up the incredible spirit of the people of Ukraine, fighting Goliath and saying, we won't give up. We also lift up people everywhere suffering incredible losses at the hands of global warming. May this be a wake-up call to governments and peoples everywhere of the importance of caring for our planet. May we all do our part to help end the problems of hunger and poverty caused by the very systems that we have created. A system that honors wealth over well-being and new gadgets over gainful employment for all. Within our own community, there are many prayer concerns. We lift up concerns for those struggling with health issues of the body, mind, or spirit. We particularly lift up Lainey and Donna, who both are recovering from back surgeries, and Marilyn, who is recovering from heart procedures. We lift up Charles's family as they seek to move forward after his death. We also lift up the caregivers who are tirelessly caring for loved ones. May they all find healing and patience as they go through their day. COVID and a multitude of other factors may leave many of us dealing with various levels of depression, some relatively minor perhaps, but others with more major depression issues. Still others may be struggling with a sense of worthlessness or hopelessness. May we all remember, no matter what struggles we are facing, that we are not alone, and that reaching out to others may help us to feel more connected, and it may open new doors of possibilities for us. May we truly begin to understand that all the wonders that we seek already lie within us. We also lift up children everywhere. May they all grow in their understanding of the infinite possibilities that lie ahead for them to make a meaningful impact on our world. We also lift up children who struggle to find their next meal, as well as those having to deal with issues that no child should have to be exposed to. May we do all we can to protect, feed, and nurture our children throughout this world. May we continue to find the strength to stand up and be the voice for the voiceless. May we continue to find the courage to nurture healing and hope in our world. Help us to see the joy that is all around us, for it is there even when we can't experience it. May we continue to seek new ways of being a loving presence in our thoughts, words, and deeds. We lift up this prayer and the joys and concerns that may lie deep within each of us in all your many precious names. Amen. I also want to take a moment to introduce to you our friend, David Zuniga. And I say our friend because he has been our friend for many years now. And we are delighted to have him here with us today. David is, I'll get it right in a minute. David is a Zen Buddhist priest and a vice bishop of the Korean Zen lineage. He's also a Austin therapist, and we have had him here before, and it is always a delight to have him with us again.
Our first scripture this morning is from the Inclusive Bible, 1 Timothy 3, verses 14 through 16. Although I hope to visit you soon, I am writing you these instructions so that if I should be delayed, you will know what kind of conduct befits a member of God's household, which is the church of the living God, the pillar and foundation of the truth. Wonderful indeed is the mystery of our faith, as we say in our profession of faith. Christ appeared in the flesh and was vindicated in the spirit, was seen by angels, was proclaimed among the ancient nations, is believed in throughout the world, and was taken up into glory. Thus ends the scripture. Dr. Zuniga will read the next one.
I have a, thank you. I have a, yeah, please speak up. I have a soft voice, so if I speak quietly, don't be shy. My name's David Zuniga. I'm a Zen Buddhist priest and a psychologist, and I'm delighted to be here today. I will just say on a quick personal note, so is anyone, and don't be shy, is anyone not familiar with Zen? It's okay if you're new, Shunryu Suzuki, a famous Zen master, once said, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the experts, there are few. So if you know nothing about Zen, own it. Is there anybody who's like never heard of Zen Buddhism? Yeah, raise your hands, be proud. It's okay. Everybody's unique. Thank you. So if you've never, thank you. This is like a 20-minute introduction to Zen and Christianity a little bit, their commonalities. If you're new to Zen, Zen is one, so I was ordained in South Korea as a Zen Buddhist priest. I went to Harvard Divinity School, worked as a Zen chaplain Zen and interfaith chaplain for about 10 years, then became a psychologist. And I was ordained in South Korea. I am a Zen Buddhist priest. When I'm seeing my own patients as a psychologist, I don't wear my Zen robes. Nothing invites transference like religion. So I don't wear my robes when I'm working as a psychologist. But if you're new to Zen, I would think of Zen one of three ways. The first way to think of Zen is like Unitarianism with a lot of meditation, which is why I think of St. Andrews in my personal as very Unitarian. So that's why I'm always honored to be here. And then another way you could think of Zen is a system of philosophy and psychology with a lot of meditation. Or you can think of it the third way through this text, which I wanted to talk about today. Jim is a good friend of mine, as are all the ministers and congregants at St. Andrews. And Jim and I, when we were preparing for this, because Jim's out in, I think, California doing his wonderful work, we were talking about the idea of mysticism. And we were talking about how to live. And we were talking about how to live in these complicated times that we're living in right now. And Jim, as y'all know, he has a great mind. And we were talking about trying to sit with the polarities of our times right now, sit with the dichotomies of our time right now, and as we would say in Zen, sit with not knowing, because it's certainly true that there are some uncertainties in our world right now. And there's kind of two ways to approach that process. Like there are, to be sure, room for improvement in our society. In psychology, we call that a positive reframe. There are ways we can improve in the society. And one way to do that is to look outward, to say, hey, there's problems in this world. What can we do to make this a more inclusive, welcoming world? A more inclusive, welcoming state, a more inclusive, welcoming city. What can we do? That is very helpful, very skillful, very healing. There's also the way of changing ourselves inward. In Zen, sometimes we use the image of a lotus in muddy water. The lotus is very beautiful. Traditionally, lotuses grow in like the swamps and the muck and mire of the rivers and stuff like that. So, in a world that does have prejudice, that does have homophobia, that does have sexism and other entrenched systemic challenges, one thing we want to do is work on our own hearts and our own minds so that we can endure, so that we too can be the cross, we can be the lotus in muddy water bringing about transformation. I've already launched into my sermon and I haven't read the talk. Sorry, Dave. I'm so in the present moment. Here is the text. Now, this is a very traditional Buddhist text, and so there's kind of a lot of fancy language. You know, whenever we approach a different religious tradition, sometimes the language is different, the images are different, but we're all interconnected. We all have goodness within us. So I'm going to read this text, and it'll be up on the screen too. This is probably one of the most Zen-y texts out there, if you will, the technical term Zen-y. You're dazzled with my scholarship. This is the Sanskrit term, the Maha Prajnaparamita Hridaya Sutra, which means in English, Heart Sutra. And the reason I love the Heart Sutra is it operates on two folds. One, the heart, compassion. Compassion is always the essence of any true spiritual tradition. And also, we say the Heart Sutra because quite literally, it is the heart. It is the essence. So, you have a dialogue here. I'll kind of give you the Cliff Notes introduction. You have the Bodhisattva of Compassion. Some of you who've studied Buddhism before, this is often known as Avalokiteshvara, Chenrezig, Kuan Yin, different languages. But this is kind of like, I don't know, in Christianity, you might say like Mother Teresa or Pope Francis, very compassionate, Saint Francis of Assisi, somebody like that. This is a bodhisattva is just a compassionate person, a living saint, and this is the Bodhisattva of Compassion, the essence of compassion, right? And then they're having a dialogue with Shariputra. Shariputra is like the wisest of the Buddha's disciples, it is said. So you've got like the master of compassion and the master of wisdom, and they're kind of having a debate. And this is a big deal in Buddhism. In Buddhism, we say you have the twin wings of enlightenment, wisdom and compassion. And I kind of think of that, there's a great poem by Langston Hughes called Dream Deferred. And he talks about, because of racism, sometimes our society is like a broken-winged bird that cannot fly. And that's a powerful image that's also used in Buddhism. To soar to enlightenment, to fly to enlightenment, you have the twin wings, wisdom, which is insight, right? How do we live in the world? And there's compassion, how we live in the world. And so there's a debate between these two Buddhist masters, the master of compassion, Avalokiteshvara, and Shariputra, the master of wisdom. Who truly understands Buddhism? And they're having a debate in front of the Buddha. And so first, in the first stanza, Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of Compassion, is speaking. And he says, the Bodhisattva of great compassion, from the deep practice of Prajnaparamita, perceived the emptiness of all five skandhas and delivered all beings from their suffering. And don't worry about the fancy Buddhist language. We're all beginners, truly. O Shariputra, form is not other than emptiness. Emptiness not other than form. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are marked by emptiness. They are not born, not annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind, no realm of sight, no realm of consciousness, no ignorance, and no extinction of ignorance, no old age and death, I like that, no extinction of them, no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cessation of suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but Prajnaparamita. Therefore, the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance, there is no fear. Away from all perverted views, the translation to English is tough here, but one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in Prajnaparamita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know that the Prajnaparamita is the great Dharani, the radiant, peerless mantra, the supreme mantra, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the Prajnaparamita. Gate, gate, parasamgate, Bodhisattva. Gate, parasamgate, Bodhisattva. Gate, parasamgate, Bodhisattva. What is that saying? Part of me wanted to pick this text just because I wanted to give y'all a fun, very Zen text. And I also wanted to share this with the Christian passage because Jim is very interested in mysticism. I too am very interested in mysticism. One of the things that we're talking about in mysticism breaks into two parts. One, again, how do we live in this world where there is a lot of suffering? How do we do that? And then part of that too is our raw being, moment to moment to moment. Like right now, there is still a pandemic. It's a Sunday morning, it's super hot in Texas. Y'all got up to get here. What is your everyday life like? Mysticism in Zen isn't some fancy thing. We say in Zen, it's chopping wood and carrying water. It's just your everyday life. You're with your kids, you're with your family, you're running on the green belt and then you break your leg. Anything, which is what happened. Anything is a vehicle for spirituality. Your mysticism isn't always around you. Every day there's an opportunity in your everyday life. And so that's what I think these two passages in the Bible and the Heart Sutra are talking about. In Christianity, and forgive me, I'm a Buddhist monk talking about Christianity, but I think the mystery is Christ himself. Christ, the presence of Christ, that even though we're the product of genetic causes and condition, even though we're a product of environment, we can have a bodhisattva like Jesus who transforms suffering just through his own being and personhood in the world. And my understanding of Christian theology, Christology, is that in Christianity you have Jesus, who is both God and man in one, and the Word was made flesh. So amazing. You know, it's easy to get sad these days. We can be on the internet, we can doom scroll. I do it too, and it can be easy to get caught in sadness. And then you have someone like Jesus who experienced great trauma and difficulty, but still brought goodness into the world. And so the Heart Sutra, and in that passage from Timothy, 1 Timothy, it talks about the mystery of our faith, which is that the Word can be made flesh and the human can be divine, that even in a world with great suffering, there is great healing and transformation and joy as well. And I'm not going to walk us all the way through the Heart Sutra, but I just want to illuminate a couple key things. You have this kind of debate, and this is from a much wider text, and you have the Bodhisattva of Compassion debating the monk of wisdom, and who's truly the wisest? The Bodhisattva of Compassion. It's always about compassion. This is why His Holiness the Dalai Lama says, "My religion is kindness." We must always have kindness. And the other thing about the Heart Sutra is it's talking about, there's kind of sophisticated Zen philosophy. They use this Sanskrit term skandhas, and that's basically, if you want to say, Dave, what are the skandhas? Well, it's answered in the next sutra here in the text, where the Bodhisattva of Compassion says, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. We Buddhists are very into meditation, and we're very interested in thinking about the mind. And so what they're basically talking about, and this is really true if you think about our perception, right? Like each of us has a brain, and each of us is sentient, each of us is conscious, and we're aware of our world, you know? And so when we look out into the world, there's existence in itself, and then there's this complicated process of how this 2 to 3 pound organism in our skull that we call a brain that has over 80 billion cells in it starts to interpret the world. And the challenge is sometimes we get caught in conditioned thought patterns. We get caught in different habitual emotional patterns. And then we're no longer present. We're no longer seeing the world. We're seeing some image of what we project onto the world. Uh-oh, maybe now we're not as skillful. Maybe now we're not as able to take care of ourselves and to take care of other people. So what we want to do, whether it's contemplative prayer or meditation, whatever is your healing path, we want to have a method where we can step back. And what this text is talking about is the process that we call emptiness. And what it's saying is empty, everything is empty of inherent existence. So you might say, wow, was the Buddha depressed or was the Buddha schizophrenic? I don't think so. What I think the Buddha was talking about is what we call in psychology, but it's more spiritual and deeper than this, what we call flow states. I'm willing to bet, and I haven't met most of you, but I'm willing to bet. And we also have people from all over the world watching us right now. Thank you, technology. You know, we have all these people watching. But each and every one of you, I'm going to make a little guess, this is my hypothesis, have had a moment, sometime in your life, where you stepped outside of yourselves. You know, these habitual patterns of thought, behavioral patterns, thought patterns, emotional patterns. You know, there's some research. We were talking about this in the Sunday school class a little earlier this morning. The average person, present company excluded, tends to have the same thoughts over and over again, about 90% of the time. Like, if you know, cognitive researchers actually track our thought patterns. There's a way to do it. The average person has the same thoughts over and over again, about 90% of their waking consciousness, you know? And that can be great if you're trying to memorize stuff, but if you're, you know, living in a stressful world, that may or may not be helpful to you, right? So a flow state, a Zen state, is the opposite of that, right? Instead of being caught, you know, like I see someone and I judge them, or I have thoughts about them, or I have projections on them. What if we actually encountered them? What if we actually learned from them? And the first step of that is what we're talking about in the Heart Sutra. We step outside of our conditioned emotional thoughts, our conditioned emotional patterns. And one way to do this is what we call emptiness. So again, I want to kind of end on this note. I'm willing to bet for each and every one of you, at some point in your lives, there was a moment when you stepped outside of yourself in a completely normal, natural, healthy, and even restorative way. You know, this collection of elements that we call Dave or Carol or Babs, you know, we lose that illusory, small sense of self. As Einstein would say, the limiting I. And we step outside of our formulaic, conditioned ways of being, and we become immersed in something that is sacred to us. And in a completely normal, natural, healthy, organic way, you become immersed in whatever is sacred to you. You know, your sense of time shifts. Your body probably relaxes. You're incredibly engaged, and yet you're relaxed. You're present. We call that a flow state. You step outside of yourself. Maybe you're playing with your kids or your grandkids. Maybe you're listening to music or cooking or exercising. And we want to combine being in the present moment with wisdom. We want that too. So for example, if you're running Friday morning before work and seeing patients and you're on the green belt like I was, and you're very in the present moment, loving being on the green belt, and then you roll and slip your, you know, and hurt your ankle, you should probably have wisdom and listen to your body and not keep running on it. And I share that story with you. That's how I broke my foot. I was running on the green belt on Friday. And I share that with you because even Zen teachers can miss their mindfulness occasionally. Even Zen teachers can sometimes get caught in their desires and their delusions. And it's more than just being in the present moment. We need wisdom and compassion as well. When we talk about being in the present moment, that's very nice, very skillful, very healing, you know? In this present moment, I'm with all my friends at this amazing church that I totally respect. It's so lovely. Nice way to start my day, you know? But it's not just being about the present moment. It's about having ethics, it's about having compassion, and it's about having wisdom. We want the Buddha mind, the Christ mind, the whole mind that can take in the whole picture, so that we can step outside of ourselves. And when we step outside of ourselves, when we say emptiness, the flip side of emptiness is oneness. The flip side of emptiness is we're all interconnected. As Einstein said, and I'm abridging his thoughts, he said he felt so interconnected to every being in the universe that he feared not the passing of any being. including himself, when we step outside of our limited eye, we enter into the harmonious whole. That's how we find community, and that's how we change the world. Thank you, my friends. Thank you.
It's our tradition to take a minute to ponder what we've heard. We pause weekly in this part of our service to be grateful for all the good things in our lives, be mindful of our own needs and of the needs of those around us. And we also ponder ways to give back from our whole selves. Certainly, resources are a part of that. But beyond that, our own presence with others, our talents, our skills, our abilities, the ways we interact with other people, are all ways that we can make not only this church, but the community, the state, the country, and the world a more compassionate, just, and loving place. For those of you who are worshiping on YouTube or on a recording, if you can afford to and want to contribute to St. Andrews, there's a link below the video or in the chat. In these next few moments, let's be grateful and think of the blessings that are ours. Would the ushers please come forward? Please join me in our offering dedication. May our giving be stirred by what we celebrate as a community, our sense of justice, our cooperation, our empathy, and our love. We dedicate our gifts of prayers, presence, resources, and service to continue the ministries of St. Andrew's and help make our world a better place for all. Please rise as you're able.
Each of you is a child of that wonderful spirit of love that we sometimes call God. And that spirit knows when you skin your knee or your heart. That spirit knows when you admire a butterfly or cry in the darkness. So go, children, out into this wonderful creation and tell the whole world that they are loved just exactly as they are. Go and kiss the hurts of this world. Go and laugh in the fields of grace and love. Go in peace. Amen. Try that.
And it's also their sheet music.
Can you hear me?
Trio or as
Oh,
violin viola. I've seen it as two flutes and an alto. Yes.
mm.